Welcome to the Louie Herron Podcast, where I'm going deep into business, sales, leadership, and life. And I mean life, from the boardroom to the bedroom, from business acquisitions to personal addictions, from being saved yet still feeling like a slave, from manning up to mousing out, dealing with divinity to reality. This podcast is dedicated to growth, learning, inspiration, and healing. Jump in, hang on, and hang out. You'll never know which topic I'll tackle next. But one thing's for certain, I'm here to share my experiences, strengths, failures, and hope, all to help us live life at the highest level we can. Hey guys, what's going on? Louie Herron, the Louie Herron Podcast, back again. Tell you, it's pretty interesting. On the road, I'm actually in Valdosta, Georgia, getting ready to do an event, train some salespeople, work with some sales guys in Valdosta, Georgia, at a Toyota dealership. Kind of excited. So I'm bringing this to you in the hotel room. Hopefully the sound quality comes across okay. Those that have never heard me, thank you for joining on. If you've just been referred or someone told you about it, I hope you get a lot out of this. Those that join frequently, thank you so much for continuing to be a part of what we do on a weekly basis as we grow the business, the sales, the leadership, and of course, life lessons. Always talking about body, being, balance, and business, four core areas, of course. Today, I'm going to bring to you a topic point that may be very, very helpful to you guys. Over the course of 30 years being in the automobile business, I have made several mistakes. I've scored big on a couple of things, but I've had several mistakes. But I think in business, it's important to be authentic and really reveal some of the things that I could have done better on, that I failed miserably on, that I think will benefit you. So maybe you don't fall into that same pitfall, or maybe you're currently in the same exact scenario now. So I'm going to bring you a couple of moments of my career that hopefully will inspire you to understand these are the 5 biggest mistakes that I've had running my businesses over the years. 5 biggest mistakes. Now, clearly, I could obviously give you the huge victories, and again, I think those are valuable, but I think sometimes from mistakes you can really grow and learn if the lesson is learned. So let me jump into the first biggest mistake in running my business that I realized, and that was not enough time building traffic and process with sales and marketing. Let me repeat that. Not enough time building traffic and process with my sales and marketing. So let me speak to this a little bit deeper. So I can refer to, there was a time when I was running Nissan of Orange Park here in Jacksonville, Florida. We had a dealership that had the fixed operations, which is the service and parts end of the automobile business, rolling. I mean, it was absolutely rolling. And those that are in the auto business realize that when your fixed operations is going well, that's the time where you put on the gas on the sales side. This is the time where you really have an opportunity where your fixed absorption, which basically means that the majority of your expenses are covered by what parts and service create from a gross revenue standpoint, which means everything on the sales side can be strictly revenue, can be strictly net profit. Now, I made a huge mistake in this dealership because we were selling probably 140, 160 new and used cars together. The store should have been selling 400 cars a month, and the store would have profited, I mean, immensely. However, I had a platform manager who was very vigilant on expenses and focused on expenses and did not feel like it was the right time to actually promote and build the traffic in the sales and marketing. Now, here's the thing. The reality was simply this. Even if we had done that, the process that I had employed at that particular time could have been a lot better, which means the money that would have been spent would have been wasted money anyways. I don't mean totally wasted. I mean, we would have definitely sold more cars, but when you're spending money in sales and marketing, you've got to have the process, right? So when phone calls come in, internet activity comes in, or people come into the facility, how we handle that, tracking and following up, tracking and following up. I mean, every single metrics, every single KPI of every single opportunity needs to be harnessed. Who is accountable in your particular process in your location of business? When you have specific leads coming in, do you have a specific process that handles the phone, the internet, and those that come to the facility? Think about that for a moment. Now, again, I think when you drive a lot of traffic, that can cover up and mask a lot of process that is poor. And you can really look like you're doing better than what you really are. The reality is, if you had all that traffic, creating all those sales, and have the process dialed in, my goodness, holy shit, you can really crush it. You can really kill it. So, the question I have for you from a key learning perspective of where I made major mistakes is, what process do you have in place? Currently, right now, I want you to ask yourself the question: what process do you have in place in your business for every phone call, for every internet lead, for every single walk in that comes to the facility? What is the process? How you engage with them initially, how you handle that particular prospect up front, and then if you cannot convert to an appointment or close for a sale, how do you follow up with the customer? What is the process you have? Again, I think it's important to look at traffic trends. Is it up? Is it down? Is it flat? I think it's important to look at the offers, or the offers you have in your promoting and marketing, from sales and marketing. Is it working? Is it not working? I mean, again, these are things you've got to analyze and really look at your business, because if you're going to grow your business, you're going to have to know exactly what's coming in and how it's being handled. If you don't have the right personnel, if they're not trained to know if you don't have a process to begin with, and then they're not trained to handle the process, everything you spend is wasted income, is wasted money to the bottom line. So I encourage you, as I look back, even if I would have spent the money at Nissan of Orange Park, if I still would have spent that money, I don't think I would have driven the revenue that was required, because I think the process on the phone, the web, internet, as well as the facility, those that walked in, would have been a lot better. And that's a key learning that I want you to take away as well. Mistake number two, guys. Mistake number two: cash flow. Look, in a business, cash is oxygen. Without cash, you're dead. You got to be able to breathe. And I think a lot of times you can be complacent when the cup runneth over. Let's say your business is fruitful. You're doing fantastic. Be very, very, very cautious. I look at the mistakes. I've had businesses where I have actually been thriving and cash was never an issue. I never even looked at a cash sheet. I didn't have to. But with that being said, I think I was a little complacent, in the sense that there were dollars being left on the table because things were being spent frivolously, and I wasn't analyzing everything because the cup runneth over. However, when you're lean, there's another opportunity. And I've run dealerships where I've been super, super lean, right? So then I've got to manage the cash. I mean, manage it to the day. So the question would be, why are you lean? Go back to, again, to what I said in number one: process, process. Process creates revenue. It's not always the expenses. In other words, a lot of operators of businesses look at the expense structure and they think, got to cut expenses, cut people, cut expenses, cut commissions, cut this, cut that. Listen, stop, stop. What cures all business is sales revenue. Period. You got to create revenue. You got to sell more. The only way you sell more is you handle the prospects and leads that you currently have coming into your business at a higher level. You have to look and analyze what is going on with the leads that are coming in. How am I handling those leads? Because sales will cure everything. So I would looking back for me personally, focus on everything that drives revenue. Everything. And I will tell you, what drives revenue is training your people. Now, guys, obviously I'll do a lot of sales training, and I do a lot of automotive sales training. And yes, I push that, of course. But I'm telling you, even as an operator, I was the trainer in the facility, right? So if you're the operator, or you're the general manager, or you're the general sales manager, or you're the operations manager, if you don't facilitate the training, you've got to get some training into the hands of your people. They've got to know how to handle rebuttals, objections, stalls, to be able to overcome those things, to be able to move the client forward, to be able to put deals together so you can drive that money to the bottom line, and so you don't have to be cash poor. All right, guys. Number three. Number three, as it relates to the five biggest mistakes in running a business. Let me share this with you. And this takes a little bit of guts for me to share this, but this is the truth. And the third mistake that I felt like I made is not valuing my role as the CEO, as the owner of the company. Now, is this a self-worth issue, or is this a humility issue? So I have to ask myself the question: did I sabotage myself by thinking I wasn't worthy? Or was I trying to show my people that we were all on the same team? Let me give you an example. When I was running automotive dealerships, and there's a lot of guys that I know that run automotive dealerships and own them as well. Something as simple as me wearing a uniform shirt like my people every single day, me driving the demonstrator vehicle that was from the manufacturer. Like whatever, if I was with Toyota or Chrysler or Ram, I would always drive the cars that I had as a dealer. And I also wore the same clothing as everybody else. And I always thought it was because, quite honestly, I don't want my people to think that I'm too arrogant, I'm too egotistical. Like, I had other guys that were in the auto industry, the guys that I knew that wore suits every day. I know guys that drove Audis and Lambos, and they were the dealer principal and they were the owner, and there was a separation between them and their people. Now, when I look back, I have to ask myself the question, was that humility on my part? Because that was my attempt. My attempt was genuinely to show my people, hey, if we need to make a call, give me the phone. I'll pick up the phone. Hey, whatever you wear, I wear. Hey, whatever the consumer drives, I drive. And I think that sounds noble, but I often look back at that and I wonder, was that some self sabotage on my part because I didn't think I was worthy of being the owner? Now, I know this sounds crazy, but track with me here for a second. If you own the dealership or you own the business or you own your insurance agency or you own your real estate office, at the end of the day, you are the owner, which means your responsibilities are different than the operations manager. In my case, I was actually the general manager and the dealer principal. So I was facilitating two roles, and both roles have totally different mindsets. There are two different roles that have to be employed. But again, like a CEO, like someone who owns the company, has to be a great visionary, right? Awesome communicator. I got to be a problem solver. I've got to install core values. Again, even as a general manager, I think those things were the same for me. But at the same time, I was very passive aggressive. And then I found myself getting pissed off at my people because they wouldn't perform or do what they needed to do. And I felt like I was too close to them. Again, it was my responsibility to communicate my needs. They can't read my mind, right? As the owner, operator, if you're the owner and the operator, if you're the owner and you have an operator, I mean, you've got to just make sure that you communicate your needs and separate the two to a degree. I think that was a huge mistake by me. Again, some of my best employees fired me. They they literally quit. They fired me. Why? Because I got frustrated because I started micromanaging. I started freaking out. Cash flow was low, and whatever the circumstances may have been, I had some phenomenal great people fire me. So again, I'm looking back as a genuine, authentic communication with you guys of what did I do? What were the five biggest mistakes? I really think not valuing my own role as the CEO, the owner, cost me. It cost me revenue, it cost me employees, and it cost me gray hair on my head because I didn't have the skill set at that time to really grow my business the right way. I didn't have the skill set at that time to understand that there was a little bit of a separation between me and my people, and that's my responsibility. And so I implore you to just take heed to that. If you're in a role, whether you're a sales manager to managers, or whether you're a general manager to sales managers, or whether you're an owner to your operations manager, there's got to be a little separation there. And when there's no separation, you're too tight, you're too close, it could lead to eventually big problems. Again, that's something that I think is vitally important. Number four mistake. Number four, unnecessary softwares and tools. Unnecessary software and tools. So here's my thing that I want to share with you. You may find yourself in your business doing the same thing. You've got all these software programs that have value, right? All these tools, they're 500 a month, 300 a month, 2 grand a month, right? You don't think they're much, but I want you to start looking at every single tool you have, every software you have, and I want you to annualize it, everything, and just run the numbers because it's not 2 grand a month, it's 24 grand a year. It's not a grand a month, it's 12 grand a year. It's not 3 grand a month, it's $36,000 a year. Okay. So I think it's important for you to run those numbers on everything and see what the return is, right? Again, numbers don't lie. People do, but numbers don't. So we've got to take a step back and really look at that. Technology is here and it's good. But I will tell you that the basic fundamentals still work. So when you're employing these software tools, some of them are not needed, guys. Some of them are not needed. Some of them are just you can get the job done with just basic blocking and tackling and doing what you're supposed to do. I mean, again, when you do employ these software programs and these tools, does your people know how to use them? I can't tell you how many times. I'll give you an example with the OEMs in the dealership world. They would come up with new equipment, new tools, And some of my guys wouldn't even know how to use this stuff, right? They'd come up with new software programs for the service drive, new delivery process for the sales side, and their iPads and their this and that. Listen, all of it's good. I'm not saying any of it's bad. My point is it needed? Is it necessary? And if you're going to do it, does your people know how to use it? Again, that's a mistake number 4 that I want to share with you. I think is vitally important. And the last mistake is mismanagement of the KPIs. Guys, I cannot tell you enough. People lie, numbers don't. People lie, numbers don't. Garbage in, garbage out. I understand that. When you're talking about key performance indicators, key performance indices, all of the software, CRM tools that we all have in our business. And if you don't have that, my gosh, you've got to get that employed so you can know where your business is at. All of those things have to be managed. For me, when I look back, allowing my management staff to not consistently be accountable for the numbers, not educating them on how the numbers read, how they look, what they should be looking for, totally on me. Huge mistake that I made early in my car career. Huge mistake. It wasn't until I understood and looked and taught my guys how to learn the numbers, understand the KPIs, grow them to understand them as well. And when I tell you grow them, I'm talking about, listen to this. You've got a sales force, you've got middle management, you've got upper management, and there's you. Sales, middle management, upper manage, you, if you're the owner. My point to you is every single facet, the sales force need to know the KPIs. Middle management needs to know the KPIs. Upper management needs to know the KPIs, and you as the owner need to know the KPIs. All levels need to understand them because, again, it creates culture, awareness, understanding of the heartbeat of the business. Guys, listen, these are the 5 mistakes that I felt like I have made in business that have cost me big. Now, again, I could share with you some successes I've had and some home runs that I've hit, but the reality is we learn more from some of the failures than we do some of the victories, right? So I wanted to make sure that you kind of just take a deep breath, go back and re-listen to this, and go back and isolate to yourself. Really take a hard look. Are you not putting enough time towards building traffic and process with your sales and marketing? Are you not watching the cash flow? Are you too lean or are you too robust and you're not watching the expenses? Are you not valuing your role as a leader or as a CEO? Whether you're a manager, middle management, to your salespeople, it's the same concept. How about unnecessary software tools? If you've got them, do your people know how to use them? Very, very important. And then obviously the last thing was the KPIs. Guys, we've got to be on top of the KPIs. We've got to understand it's the lifeblood of our business. And I understand garbage in, garbage out. That's your job as a manager to make sure we're putting the right information in the system so we know exactly where our business stands so we can manage our business by the numbers, not by somebody else's opinion. Guys, thank you so much, so very much for listening. Thank you for sharing this with other people and subscribing, those that have. If it's the first time you've listened to me, thank you for hanging on. Again, take the time to leave a comment, a review, or even share this with some other folks. Please continue to do so. If you want more content on leadership, sales, business, and life lessons, you can always go to louieherron.com or Louie Herron TV on YouTube for more content. Again, if nobody's told you you are fucking kick-ass human being, you've got the goods, you've got what it takes. If no one's told you they love you, look, your brother loves you. You've got what it takes. You can make it happen. Look, until the next week on the Louie Herron Podcast, kick some ass. Have a great week. Do what you got to do. Keep your head high. Always stay positive. Keep your mind out of the gutter. To quit that monkey mind and make things happen. I'll see you next week on the Louie Herron Podcast.